All right, everybody. Well, believe it or not, we have more. I know it's a full day, and I don't mean full just time-wise. I mean it's a rich, full day, rich with education and rich with inspiration, rich with humanity. So I'm so glad we're together. So now let's hear from Deon Whitmore. Deon Whitmore is program manager at Healing Dialogue in Action. And Dion is currently pursuing a master's in public health at California State University in Los Angeles. Great for you, Dion.
Thank
He is passionate about creating systemic change. Healing Dialogue in Action is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting both juveniles in detention and survivors of crime. Dion also works as a student consultant, leveraging his expertise to drive impactful initiatives and again, to get questions ready for Dion when the panel is talking, you can send them to hashtag #MGraceJones, and then we'll be able to interact with Dion on the panel. But right now, Dion challenges us to reimagine a justice system focused on healing. Dion, thank you so much for being with us today. We can't wait to listen to you and share.
Yes.
Thanks, Dion.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for showing up and supporting this event today. I've been looking forward to it, right? And so the opportunity to actually, talk about our message on this kind of platform is definitely inspiring for me, definitely my organization wise. And so, like you mentioned, I'm Dion with Healing Dialogue in Action, where we heal people, right? And so, a part of our mission is transformative justice that empowers communities impacted by violence. And when I say that we're doing something that that hasn't been done yet, and when I ask that you reimagine, right, and try to be open to this, right, is how can we create a system that's just? And when I say a system that's just, it's just not for those responsible for committing crimes. I'm talking about for those that's impacted by crimes as well. And so currently, right now, I can give you a list of resources and opportunities afforded to men and women who are incarcerated, who suffer from trauma and all these things, right? But there's very little for those families who are impacted by these same crimes and violence, right? And somehow the court system, when we talk about justice, is somehow forgot about the family. Up until sentencing, up until conviction, or up until some of these individuals come to board or are released. That's when we think about those that were harmed or impacted in some kind of way. And so, Healing Dialogue in Action, one of our cornerstone pieces of our organization is we do victim offender dialogue, right? And that is one of the most transformative experiences that you can ever witness or even encounter. You can find some of our victim offender dialogues on online as well, and I can attach a link to some of the stories that's being shared, right? And so I want to read a few of our core pillars of our work, just to give you more of an understanding about like what we do and what we're trying to do, and like keep in mind that this is fairly new. And so, healing centered supports for youth, families, and survivors. And so, our organization is unique in a sense that this same team of individuals will accompany youth throughout the juvenile justice system who are responsible for committing some of these crimes, but also to the families of those harmed and impacted. And so we'll have a team inside the juvenile facilities who are mentoring some of these youth from victim impact programs. We offer mental wellness, trauma informed care. So I can't wait to talk about that later on. What was mentioned earlier. And so we accompany these youth throughout the facility, right? The day they get sentenced to the day they release inside the facilities, me and my team are there to accompany them throughout the whole rehabilitative process. And so on the other side of that, I have a team. We have a team. HDA has a team that work with families to find them resources, accompany them through those court dates, and even just on their own personal healing journey. And that's from sitting at cemeteries with them, celebrating the life of their loved one who was lost. Like those are some of the things we do. One of the programs that we have that's available to the youth inside of juvenile detention centers is called the Credible Messenger Mentorship Program. And so this is a team of people with lived experiences, system impacted in some way, who go in there and share our lived experiences with these youth and hope that they can somehow make better choices. And so me in particular, man, I want to introduce myself. Like He lists off a list of accomplishments that I've made since returning to society, but I am too and system impacted. I was incarcerated for over 23 years, uh, and that was a journey within itself. Education is where I found my sense of self, my confidence, self awareness. It gave me an identity outside of that convict mentality that I had for so long, and so education afforded me the opportunities to to embark on journeys like this and kind of create pathways and even shed light to some of the injustices that I see in the justice system. It's easy to say, I went in at 15 years old, spent 23 years of my life inside the system. And was the sentence extreme? Yes, it was. Uh, was it fair? Yes, it was. I was sentenced to life in prison. And like according to the laws of society and even mankind, like what I did was wrong, and I accept everything that come with that. And I'm deeply remorseful for the actions that I did when I was younger. But I have to accept the fact that too, it's a system in place to help some people as well. And I'm not saying that the prison system is there to help everybody. I'm just saying that when we think about rehabilitation and justice, we have to incorporate those that were impacted, not only those serving time, but those whose families, who lost loved ones as well. And it was through programs like Victim Impact, especially Healing Dialogue and Action, that gave me the ability to actually see human, like have that reconnection. And I think like, being in the system, that was something that was important to the justice system. Uh, I believe that their voice shouldn't be silenced. You know, I understand if some of these youth who are responsible for committing crimes understood the magnitude of mothers go through every birthday and holiday their son is missing. I think that it allowed them to be to see the wrongs they done and change their life and help change the system. And so that's what like a lot of my calling has been like since being home was to bring light to that. I definitely want to give those survivors of crime and those impacted by crime a voice in this arena. Uh, and like it's not a us versus them is either, which has kind of been painted for so long. The justice system is like somehow the courtroom is divided, those responsible and those impacted, and somehow those lines will never cross. And Healing Dialogue and Action is here to say how we can change that narrative too. And I think that will give those responsible for these acts to be held accountable. Right now, you go to the justice, like, you're incarcerated for 20 or 30 years. You go through these programs, and you don't think about those people that you've harmed or hurt until the DA or the parole board contact them at your board hearing. And then now here it is, you re-traumatize. And oftentimes, though, you just kind of like do all this time without even thinking about it or addressing it. And so we want to talk about that. And so that's the unique thing that we're trying to do. And I can't say this is a system in place that we've mastered yet. But Healing Dialogue and Action has attempted to kind of like bridge those gaps and cross those lines. Like half of my colleagues were impacted by crime, and so they lost sons and fathers, even daughters. But also, too, half of my colleagues were once responsible for committing such heinous acts and spent life terms in prison. And so you can imagine what an office day could look like. But I'm here to say that it's not that bad. Like working alongside these people who have been who have been impacted, not only system impacted, but also too by crime and violence. It's created a space of healing, and that's what's allowed me to continue to heal on this journey of mine. 23 years in the system, I can tell you that it offered very little of that humanity part. Because it was like, the DA and the justice system and the courts were in the middle of everything. I wasn't able to contact. And not to say I would have if it would, continue to traumatize those I hurt, but I would like them to know what was going on. Give them some sense of idea along this journey if they want to know. Oftentimes people get sentenced to these long terms of life in prison, and that's it. They don't get an update. They don't get a check-in. They don't get nobody reaching out to them until that person is coming home or a resentence motion. And that's not healthy for either side. And so That's what we're trying to do over here at Healing Dialogue in Action. Right now, we're working with youth inside the juvenile halls, and so these youth are those that 10 years ago, at 14 years old, would have been sentenced to life in prison. And since the laws have changed over here in California, I don't know if everybody's from California or not, but if the laws changing in California, though, now juveniles are no longer being tried as adults. They're being sentenced to 7 years inside the juvenile detention center. And the problem with that is there's no accountability. These are 14 and 15 years old who go into the system, and in 3 or 4 years are eligible for parole or release. And so there's no real work being done right there. And so we're trying with our efforts and our mentorship program and our rehabilitative programs to go inside these facilities and actually like help these young men begin to understand the impact of the choices they've made in their life. And that is the most challenging part. But we go inside of juvenile detention centers, but also adult prison systems as well. And I can tell you the prison systems is night and day compared to juvenile system. Definitely it's an age factor. And but it's like it's the work. And like Healing Dialogue Action, we want to do the work right now. And it's uncomfortable. Nobody want to have these conversations. How do you bring people together? And we don't have an answer for that. But if you start in the spirit and a journey that's focused on healing, it'll definitely give us more ideas. It'll give us a chance to start somewhere. And we're just starting right now. And so I hope to do more in the future. This will not be the last of HDA. We're continuing to grow and expanding our services. And I would like to talk about a few of our departments over here. We have a family support system over here, and they help with healing circles, guided discussions, monthly support groups, court appointments, and one-on-one support. And that's the same team I spoke about, system impacted, and also those of crime survivors who reach out to the families, who go to the courts and advocate with them to help them understand that we're here for them as well, giving them a space in this arena right now. We have a youth justice program right now, and we offer weekly victim awareness classes in secure youth training facilities, youth accompaniment through credible messengers, mentorship from formerly incarcerated wounded healers. And when I say that, these youth right here we work with, upon their incarceration, they work with our team inside the facilities through these programs. Upon their release, we have a team outside, our reentry team, who's here to help guide these youth upon their release through society and all its challenges. And so we're trying to do it like a continuum care. It's not do your time, you're free, or we'll figure it out. We understand the challenges of that, especially on this healing journey that can be forever. And so I've been in this healing space for 10 years. And I'll be honest, I find myself still in those moments where like trying to connect, having to have those conversations like, do I get it? Do I understand what's happening? Like, how is this choice right here going to affect the person next to me? Like, and that's the healing process that we're trying to like focus on. And oftentimes the system, do your time, release everybody to society, and then they'll somehow figure it out. And we're here to say that until we have a safe space in these healing spaces, where people can come talk about their challenges and their struggles on both sides, like we'll continue to see ourselves divided. And we're hoping to tackle some of those issues right there. We have a reentry support team that's the continued mentorship once these youth are released. We have a family reunification and resource navigation. And so we help them build those family ties again, the healthy boundaries. We do program inside the halfway homes for a lot of these youth. Also, too, we have like referrals for them as well, to referrals to other organizations that can assist them in their needs if we see any kind of void that we can't fill. And so we do a lot of partnerships in this space with all CBOs who are doing the work, from Anti-Recidivism Coalition, Young Women's Freedom Center, Second Call, Michael's Daughters, Jail Guitar Doors. These are some of the organizations that Tarzana Treatment Facility and Center, don't let me forget about them, with substance abuse. And so these are CBOs working with the same youth and trying to get them all resources available. possible that we have for them. And so keeping in mind all the energy and love we're trying to pour into some of these youth to help them get their lives back on track, we understand that we have to think about those survivors of crime as well. And how can we better support them? And so from if it's court accompaniment, moral support groups, monthly check-ins, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to hear like what they need the most. And until we sit down and listen to them, even if we disagree or we can't understand why, I think survivors of crime have a big part in this justice system, and they haven't for so long. And like that's the injustice part right now that we're facing. And I hope that in the near future we can kind of tackle some of those issues. A little bit about our survivor program that I want to highlight. Ben I mentioned spoke about it a little bit. Support groups and healing circles. We have peer support from people with lived experiences, a compassionate community for those loved ones lost to violence. I understand in trauma, oftentimes, those responsible for causing some of these issues, these harms and injustices were once traumatized as well. And they, their actions was a result of that trauma. And so if we can't sit down and agree on anything else, we have like trauma is something that we both can understand and how it affects us. Losing someone close to you, can be, life changing. Also being responsible for that. And so I understand that most of these youth we work with, they were abused, neglected, and not to make any excuses, but I understand how trauma works. But also to a mother who lost her child and she can't sleep at night and she struggled with depression and issues. Today, as someone responsible for hurting someone, I understand her traumas as well. And that makes me just as compassionate when speaking and listening to this one, to how I'll never be responsible for hurting someone else again. And I think if we can have those conversations and bring more light to that, it'll definitely change this justice system that we speak about and that we're all invested in. And I heard, excuse me, I forgot her name, who spoke before me about the OMCP program. And they're doing great work inside the facilities. And so we're hoping to continue that out here. It's just gonna look a lot different. But we're talking about partnerships, prison, and how we can do better in this space. I think it's time that we had a conversation on how we can include those survivors of crime, those affected by crime as well. I think this panel would have been amazing to have them a part of it, to kind of hear what they say. Even if we were on two different sides, I think when it comes to trauma and providing support and care for humans, I think we can all find a common ground on that. And we offer also one of the things we offer is housing assistance to some of these men and women and even some of the youth coming home to help them repair their lives and get back on track. Try to provide them resources and job opportunities so they don't find themselves back in situations where they have to make irrational or impulsive decisions. And so I know most of these families who are impacted by crimes, like sometimes going back to that same household or opening that room where their kid or child once laid in is traumatizing. And so what if we can have a program or system in place where, those survivors of crime, we could help with move-in and, relocation, transportation. Like, I think that the same opportunity that we afford to those responsible for committing crime, we should begin to think about how we can help those who've been impacted by it. And I want to, reiterate that part. And that's what Healing Dialogue and Action is trying to do. We're trying to tackle a lot of these challenges, a justice system whose ideal of justice is lock them up and throw away the key. Those that's impacted only have a say-so in courts. And once the court system over with, go on about your life. And we want to say that's not right. And we should be thinking about more effort and energy and see how we can help those more on both sides.
And one more moment, one more minute, if you would.
Yes, sir. I got the time right here. And just like I say, for me, myself right now, going inside the system, right, at a young age, being afforded the opportunity to pursue a higher education. I received my bachelor's in communication studies from Cal State LA in 2021. I came home and the Department of Rehabilitation help me provide, help me pursue my master's degree. And I'm thankful for those opportunities. Like, and I couldn't have done it without the support that's in this space. But I know too, having an education, like, this is my chance to speak up to even some of the injustices that I feel that this justice system is involved, even though I was impacted by it. And so, if a part of Healing Dialogue and Action, we can shed light to this, I think this is our living amends to give back and help change this system. So I thank you all for support. I hope that you look us up, Healing Dialogue and Action, to hear about some of the more work that we're doing right now. And like, we're just getting started. And so it's more to come. And thank you for inviting me to this space as well. So I appreciate it.
Deon, we're so glad there's more to, we'll take all you got. Bring it on. More to come. Healing, dialogue, and action.
Yes, sir.
Deon, that bridge you're building is I don't know anybody else that's building that bridge. That's a new bridge. That bridge you're building between the people responsible for the crime and the people impacted by the crime. That bridge you're building is new. And the pioneer work you're doing is amazing. And I love the one phrase you used. I don't even know if you remember using it, but you said the ability to see human. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what builds that bridge, is seeing human on both sides of the bridge.
Sir.
It's the ability to see human. Well, thank you, Dion. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Wow.